So what if healing isn't the goal, but instead learning to live through and grow around these moments that shape us?
Welcome, I'm Elise.
And I'm Jess, and this is Spiritual Alchemy,
the podcast where we explore the intersection of science and spirituality
and how it shapes our everyday lives.
In my opinion and in my experience, that's the only way to deal with grief.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a unique experience to each person. I don't think any one person has the answers for anybody when it comes to grief, because it's just so different.
I love the phrase that grief is not linear, that it looks different on everybody and it looks different for everybody. I also, as someone who has experienced grief many times in my life, not every grief looks or feels the same. And sometimes it's surprising, like one loss might feel heavier than another. One might take longer to heal. One might not show up right away.
Right.
The weight of it.
Right. And so just having patience with yourself as a human being, that it's okay if it shows up in 6 months, in a year from now.
Yeah.
Because that's just part of life.
And also learning how to be there and support the people in your life that are experiencing grief, how to show up for them, and also how to keep your boundaries. Because what was the analogy we gave last week about trying to save someone from drowning? Sometimes you gotta
save yourself first.
Gotta save yourself first. So where we left off last week, what does it mean to be whole with your wounds rather than healed from them?
Oh, this is so hard. I'm a crier. Everyone, I feel like, knows that already. You know, this aspect of me makes me a great actress, but it's part of me that's also like the most terrifying. I can tap into pain real fast. It's why I cry all the time. But probably within the past year or two, I've started just allowing myself to cry and feel the pain and be with my wounds and not judge myself if all of a sudden I'm crying over something that happened in childhood, because that came up. Like, I think I was crying over like a job that I didn't get, and then I started crying, and then all of a sudden I was listening to a song that reminded me of my childhood, and I was crying about my childhood, and I was like, what is happening right now? But I just allowed myself to feel it. I'd given myself an hour to just sit and cry and time to journal it out and meditate, and it was healing.
Yeah. I think I like the analogy of like shaking a bottle of like soda. And if you keep holding those emotions in, eventually it's all going to come spilling out, because you can only ignore that pain, that grief for so long.
Right.
And then it starts to creep out in different ways. Like maybe you lash out at a friend for something that wasn't a big deal, or somebody on the street, you're just like mad about traffic in a way that like normally that wouldn't bother you as much. When people lash out, it's because they have a lot of pain and they don't know what to do with it or where to put it. So they end up just
hurting other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I hate that phrase, hurt people, but it is really true. Happy people don't hurt people. It's what is that line from Legally Blonde where she's like,
happy people don't kill their husbands.
Happy people just don't kill their husbands. They just don't. So yeah,
it's true. It's true. Yeah. It's finding an outlet, like journaling, working out for some people, yoga, meditation. All of these are examples of a way to, like, what's the word? Divert your pain into different things.
Well, there's also, I think we have to talk about self-medicating and pushing the pain down through use of drugs, alcohol, substances. Like substance abuse comes up a lot in grief when people are trying to ignore their pain. They're just trying to quiet it because they're trying to numb themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge thing. It's self-harm, not just harm to others, but harm to you.
Mm-hmm.
And, they may not be hurting anybody else, but they're hurting themselves.
We're wired to feel pain. It's the part of us that is supposed to keep us safe, but in a really fast-paced environment, it's created a cloak where society has told us that's too much pain. You shouldn't have to feel this much. And that's when the self-medicating comes in. Oh, I shouldn't feel stressed after a super hard 9 to 5 work week on Wall Street in New York. I'm just going to go out for happy hour on Friday night, and getting really drunk every Friday by 5:30 p.m. is the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really the norm? Is that really what you want?
Should it really be the norm?
Right? Like, what do you actually need? You probably need to go punch something after working 40 hours on Wall Street in a week.
Yeah.
Or teachers. Same thing. Like you deal with kids all week. You need a massage.
Yeah. Another outlet, a more constructive outlet
than just alcohol and drugs.
Yeah. And I mean, being whole with your wounds also means embracing scars and the experiences that shaped you.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than like trying to erase or forget them.
So psychologist Carl Jung, our favorite, said, "I'd rather be whole than good." And I got stuck on this quote for a while. I'd rather be whole than good. It's that phrase that we all say in American English. How you doing today? I'm good. What if we all just became more honest? I always tell people, like, just be honest. If you're not good, you don't have to tell me you're good. Just be like, it's been a shit day. It's all right. I'm tired. I have to practice that more too, where I can't just always say, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because when you are honest outwardly, I'm tired. I am tired today. I can admit that.
Yeah.
I'm allowing myself to just be. I'm whole.
Yeah.
I'd rather be whole than good.
Yeah. I think it's the putting on a brave face for everybody else's sake. The only person you're hurting by pretending to be okay is you. And again, it ties back because it's like we bottle that up. We bottle up the truth. And not saying, I will also say,
shake it up.
Shake it up. Be honest, but also remember not to project. I think there's a big difference in communicating versus putting that energy on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You had a bad day. There's a way that you can be like, hey, I've had a bad day. And like give people permission to say, yes, I can hold space for you. Or, hey, and we did this the other day. You were expressing to me that you were feeling overwhelmed with a lot of things going on. And I was like, hey, I hear you. I don't have space to help right now, but I can hear you and acknowledge and say, like, hey, I am also overwhelmed with things. You're not alone, but we got this and we're in it together, and offering that support. That's a good way to like keep a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's that you don't want to let it's what did I say last week? It's a quote from my roommate. If you're bleeding and I'm bleeding and we're both bleeding all over each other and we don't know whose mess is whose, how are we going to heal our wounds?
You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
So just keeping that distance, but yeah, rather be whole than good.
It's so short and it's such a good quote.
Yeah. And it's deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's deep because when little pieces of us, because I would say that in grief, sometimes you, like they say, you lose part of yourself in grief.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've never actually resonated with that term.
How deep of a grief have you had though? Like how deep of a loss have you had?
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. But I don't know. My personal philosophy is I don't choose to look at that and say like part of me was lost. I would almost say I found a part of me. But we're
Mm.
talking years past
And
this
what
grief.
type of grief are you referring to?
Death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a person is gone.
Yeah.
And so that part, like the physical aspect of that is gone, but also in my belief system that I believe people carry on in a different
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
So tapping into the energy of ancestors and that like angels or guardians, whatever you want to think of it, like physical person is gone, but they're still with me
Yeah.
in
I
a
think that
way.
that's a way to look at it. I think that it can be hard for people who don't see the world like that.
That's true.
And I think too when you have loss, a big thing that people talk about and kind of what I'm referring to is like I think of like the death of a family member, like a close family member or a very close friend. And there's a hole in your life where that person once was. That's what I mean by like a piece of you is missing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean like you've lost yourself. I mean like a part of your everyday, a part of your journey is gone now. I mean, all of us at some point will lose our parents. That's a tough loss to go through. And that's the people that shaped you into who you were and who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that experience looked like, that grief may look different. But when we lose somebody, and a lot of times it's people that are not in a place where they want to say, yes, I believe in heaven, or I believe in angels, and I believe in spirits, and I believe that my loved ones are still with me. Like that does give people a lot of comfort in grief. It's like the thing that people fear the most is forgetting. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like I don't want to forget what my mom smelled like, the scent of her perfume. I don't want to forget, the sound of their voice. I don't want to forget what they looked like.
That's true.
I'm forgetting what it felt like to embrace them. It's a hard thing because as we get further and further away from that grief, we start to lose those memories. And that's a hard thing.
Right. It is.
It is. And that I think is part of the loss is that you're losing that immediate connection.
Mm-hmm.
So post traumatic growth is the idea that deep pain can lead to increased resilience, purpose, empathy, and inner strength.
It's a hard pill to swallow because post traumatic growth, whew, that doesn't sound good. That's not a
No.
nice term.
Yeah. Post trauma growth.
So once you've gotten through the initial trauma, what comes of it? It can be resilience, purpose, empathy,
Mhm.
inner strength. But that's not to say that moments of wanting to forget, substance abuse, avoidance.
Well, think about the journey of that, right? Like we think of the process of grief,
Mm-hmm.
the anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance, all the stages of it. That journey, when you get to acceptance, you probably look back on everything you went through and you're like, wow, I really went through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody comes along in your life who experiences a similar grief. And you are watching them now, like a mirror, go through what you just went through. In that post traumatic growth, everything you learn about yourself, everything you learn about the human existence, because I think a lot of people in that grief process look for answers. They look for spiritual enlightenment because they're like, well, what happened to this person I loved? Or what happened to, I'm specifically talking about the loss of death.
Mm-hmm.
But even in bad breakups or losing a job, or
It can still feel,
it can still feel very like, what do I do now?
yeah.
And a lot of people will turn inward and do that inner work. So yeah, I 100% think that while it is while you're going through it, you may not feel like you're growing. You might feel like you're stuck in the mud,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually you're going to get to the other side and look back and see like, "Oh my gosh, look at everything I went through and look at how I got through it."
Mm-hmm.
And then you're able to impart that wisdom and offer that support to somebody else who maybe is going through the same thing.
And you can only do that by being so present in the moment that you can recognize that maybe you're at that acceptance stage, and you can pinpoint the triggers that maybe you had in the past that's not affecting you now in the present. And it allows you to hold the future you with ease, knowing that you have already been through it. And you might go through it again, but it might be your second or third time around. And your pain is now your superpower.
Yeah.
Now, is there a difference between emotional processing and the pursuit of constant self improvement?
So let's define the terms.
Okay.
Emotional processing is the way emotions are recognized, understood, and responded to. So that's acknowledging feelings, understanding their origins, like where that feeling is coming from, and then integrating them to promote well being.
My shrink always asks me that. Where's this anger coming from? I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, that's so funny. I always ask myself that.
And I see I am so bad at pinpointing my anger, but it's been nice to have someone be like, let's sit with that a minute. I'm like, no, I want to barrel through the anger. They're like, no, let's sit with the anger for a minute. I'm like, I don't know where, and then I usually end up crying.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, and I'm the Aries. No, yeah, I think there is a beauty to when you get to a certain point in your process in your journey. um I find personally I'm not a very angry person. I don't really get heated very easily, so when I do I'm like, "Ooh,
what happened?
what happened? Where did that come from?" Or what I've expressed this before, I'm very empathic. So when I'm around people who are having big emotions, sometimes I can kind of take that on and I'm like, where's this sadness coming from? Where is this anger coming from? Where is this? And then I'm like, oh, it's not mine. It doesn't belong to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's do something to self regulate and get back on track,
Mm-hmm.
readjust. Yeah. It's emotions can be vague.
Yes. So the focus of emotional processing is making sense of and dealing with emotions as they arise, whether they are negative or positive, which is exactly what you just described that you do.
Mm-hmm.
It is a key aspect of emotional intelligence. And that's why huge advocate for therapy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I am being challenged every week. Can you sit with your anger? I'm like, no, it's fine. And how funny that every time I usually barrel down into crying.
Yeah.
That means as if I were to call myself out, I have no coping skills when it comes to my anger, which comes from childhood because I wasn't allowed to be angry as a child. So now in my adult life, I do get angry and I'm being asked to sit with it and figure out what do I need in this moment to deal with my anger?
Yeah.
Because I've never asked myself that. But I just never was angry.
No.
And then the purpose of your emotional processing is to achieve emotional clarity, improve mental and emotional health, enhance relationships and support well-being. Yeah. It's like digesting your food. You have to like digest your emotions.
Yeah.
That was a good quote. I just came up with that.
Yeah. You do have to sit with it and you do have to, again, like, yeah, digesting your emotions, processing them, understanding the triggers, where is this sparking from, and not letting your emotions control you. You control your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think let's touch on emotional intelligence because I think this is a really big theme in society right now.
Oh yeah,
like
people.
everybody's trying to be emotionally intelligent, be around emotionally intelligent people.
It comes up a lot in dating. You know,
Yeah.
he's not really emotionally intelligent. What does that even mean?
Yeah, emotional EQ. It's a thing. It's, you know, it's important because when you are around people who lack the empathy, who lack the ability to see how they are affecting other people And I think that's a huge part of emotional intelligence is like, it's not just emotional awareness. That is separate. Being aware of yourself and your emotions is one thing, but being aware of how your emotions affect others, like I said, share, don't project. If you're constantly putting your energy everywhere, you're going to be exhausting to be around, one. But two, that shows a lack of emotional intelligence, emotional awareness, because you are just spewing your energy everywhere, not caring how it affects people, not care, like it's too egocentric.
I was gonna say it's the ego.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ego.
So in modern wellness and healing culture, there's often this unspoken pressure to always be improving. This can come from a form of avoidance.
Hmm, yeah, and the wellness and health culture of it. Um, I had been in therapy for years, and I went to a Reiki somebody, and I sound bad, like I love that, but then they really wanted to dive it, like one session wanted to dive into like my childhood trauma, and I was like, whoa. I
Yeah.
was like, I came here for a Reiki session and a sound bath. I don't want to talk about my childhood trauma with you. And then I don't want to say they bullied, but I almost was like gaslit into telling them, because they're like, well, if we talk about it, then it's going to help improve and help you release
Mm,
something. And that's what that reminds me of, like this pressure to, well, we can get to the core of it if you talk about your childhood trauma right now. And I'm like, I don't know you.
yeah. I think there's a lot and this is the unfortunate side of the spiritual community, which I think is only really upsetting because it like gives the people that are actually out there to help heal people a bad reputation, in a
Mhm.
sense that it's like people just put such a blanket statement over it where it's like this one person is a scam artist, so everybody must be a scam artist. And it's not true. But I think that yeah, there is this pressure in the community to like, if people are constantly trying to self improve, that's how you build
A
a
brand.
brand and an income. And I think that yes, like in the community, monetary exchange is an energetic exchange. It's like I'm providing you a service, I'm giving you my energy, I receive that back in funds.
Mhm.
You know, you pay for a service, you pay for a Reiki session, you pay for meditation or a sound healing or a tarot reading.
Right.
But the journey of self improvement within the spiritual community, or like you go to a wellness retreat. Yeah, you go to like a retreat, you go to a yoga retreat, something, a 21-day silent retreat, like crazy things like that. It's this facade
Right. That
of,
you have to come out
yeah.
being better. I mean, when we do this someday, because we will,
Mhm.
I will approach it, and I'm assuming you would approach it the same way that you coach, where I just want you to come out having learned something. And it can be about yourself, it can be about the practice, it can be about frequencies, it can be
Mhm.
about astrology. Just come out learning something. If you feel improved, that's a bonus,
It's
right?
up here's I always say all I can do is give you the tools, but it's up to you to use them.
Mhm.
And my favorite, like I have worked with spiritual healers through my journey, and I've worked with some not great ones. I've worked with some wonderful ones, and the wonderful ones are the ones that are like, you did all this work. Now take time to rest, because I was really on the end of this where I was like, I constantly need to be improving. I need to heal my shit and get through it so I can be that better version of myself. And I want to be it tomorrow. And that's my Virgo
Mm,
Mars. But, and my Aries moon is just like, we want it done. We want it done quick. We're going to look like we're looking inside. Okay. Calling out the bullshit. We're done. Like heal it and let's be done with it. And it really had to like kind
slow
of
down.
learn, well, slow down, but also realize that it's not a quick fix. True healing is not you go to one tarot reading and you're healed. You go to one Reiki session and all your problems are gone in the by. It's like you have to kind of constantly look at yourself, look at the work, see how it changes, see how it improves. So constantly trying to get the work done and just get it over with, and kind of spiritually bypass,
Mm-hmm.
just to be like, oh, I did it and now I'm done. But I was really doing the work. But what one coach I was working with said to me was, you've been doing a lot. You've done a lot. Look at everything that you've improved. Take a break. Rest. Enjoy
The work
the
you've
work
done.
you did. And it's not about like constantly hard hitting to this finish line with this pressure to always improve. It's like, yeah, you should always be improving, but also you can stop and smell the flowers that you grew along the way.
It's my favorite Trevor Hall song. You can't rush your healing. Can't rush it. And part of that path is resting.
Yeah.
So important. So the pursuit of constant self-improvement. Define this for me.
Okay. So self-improvement is a continuous journey of personal development and growth. The goal is to enhance specific skills, qualities, and overall potential. It involves consciously working to become a better version of oneself. The focus involves enhancing specific skills like time management or public speaking, acquiring new knowledge, developing healthier habits, or improving relationships. It is goal oriented and is a tactical process. It's tangible. You can like check off the list. So the purpose is to achieve personal goals, unlock inner potential, create a more fulfilling life, and improve overall well-being.
So I do agree with this before I go off on my tangent. I do agree with all of this. But I took a lot of time to meditate on this and poke holes. Because self-improvement, it can be empowering. It can also become compulsive, fueled by the belief that we are never enough. And I'm saying that from experience. I got to a point where I threw my hands up and I was like, well, am I ever going to feel like it's enough? And it still takes a long time to constantly wake up and say, I am enough. I am doing enough. I have enough time. I am enough. It's this constant thing that I have to say to myself, because I would say up through like 26, 27 years old, that was not the subconscious thought in my brain.
Yeah.
That I had enough time, that I was enough. It was always that there wasn't enough of anything. So this drive of self-improvement can mask deep emotional wounds and create a loop where healing is bypassed in favor of achievement or productivity. Because when you have something tangibly that you can go check, that feels good. I love to-do lists. I don't know. Do you make lists? I'm a list girl.
I'm more of a list of like, I need to write reminders. Like I have a list that's like water plants on this day, and this day.
As your plant went.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a list girl in a sense that like I do need them for organization, but I've been living a little chaotically at the moment, so I've not been a list girl.
That's okay. I mean, I ebb and flow out of lists, but I'm a big list girl. So of course, this fuel to be self-improving feels good when you can cross that off the list.
You know what I think I hate about lists? Is that they remind me of like your checkbox, right? Like, oh, I graduated high school. Now it's time to go to college. Now it's time to get a job. Now it's time to get married. Now it's time to have kids. Like it just reminds me of like the checklist and hamster wheel of life.
I was going to say, which is probably something you heard growing up, because I heard that. I remember, shout out Grandma May. But the first time I ever decided to travel internationally, I was like 20 or 21 years old. And I had a friend who lived in Germany that I was going to go visit. And my grandmother was horrified that I was going to take my winter break to go to Germany. She said to me, you don't travel when you're in college. You go to school, you get a job, you get married, you have babies, you retire, and then you travel. And I was like, Grandma said, what? I go, I'm not going on a tour bus. I want to gallivant around Berlin.
Yeah.
I'm going.
No.
And I will never forget that conversation because she was very
Oh
serious
yeah.
about that checklist of order of events that needed to happen for me to then travel and experience other cultures. And I was like, no.
No. I mean, that was a big inspiration for me for traveling because I love to travel. I love to
Hmm.
go new places and see new things. And I grew up not traveling. My parents were not travelers. My mom has a sense of adventure and she likes to travel with me. But my dad like grew up in the same town that I grew up in. I went to the same elementary school and high school as my dad. Crazy. Like the man has not left that town his entire life or barely has. And no shade. If that's like your lifestyle, that's great. That's good for you. But it's like, I wanted to see the world. I want to see everything. And I was like, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait
Your check
because I've
boxes.
already waited long enough. And now I'm like, I'm really unapologetic about it. I'm like, and I think I talked about this before. When you're from the East Coast, there's a lot of expectation from family to go back and only visit family when you have time off. Well, you had this time off. Why didn't you come see us? You never come back. It's like, I had some time off and I'm entitled to a vacation.
And
And I'm also entitled to go see something different.
what you choose to do can enhance your self-improvement,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't go by the lists of things that you're supposed to do. You make your own list.
Yeah.
So when self-growth becomes a measure of worth, it stops being a tool for wholeness. Do not let self-improvement become a performance.
Well, at that point, then you're just playing at self improvement. You're not actually improving.
Uh,
I mean, this kind of goes back. This goes back to when we were talking about like spiritually bypassing your lesson, or going around the grief.
mm-hmm.
You're not actually working through it, and the only way to get to the other side is actually through. And
Going on a bear hunt.
and it's also that kind of thing of like putting on a mask. It's taking your grief and shoving it down into a deep dark place, and when it pokes its head out, it pokes its head out in a way that's self-destructive or harmful
Well,
to yourself
it's
or
gonna rear
others.
its ugly head.
It's gonna rear its ugly head.
So there is a relationship between the two.
Yes. Emotional processing is vital for effective self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
By understanding emotions and how they influence our behavior, informed decisions can be made, self awareness improves, and better strategies for achieving goals are developed.
Asking, what is this emotion teaching me right now? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's why my shrink keeps asking me in therapy, let's dive into that anger deeper, because she's asking me, hey, what is this emotion teaching me right now? I'm so swept up in it. I can't pinpoint it, but I'm going to keep working at it.
Yeah.
I want to figure out what my anger is trying to teach me. I'm not there yet, and I can acknowledge that. But that's why these are important questions.
Oh, yeah. And self improvement involves emotional processing. So, learning emotional intelligence and managing your emotions. And by managing, I do mean regulating within yourself, but also managing how your emotions affect other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if we all mess up, so you have to give space for that. So you can ask yourself, how can I be better in the future?
Mm-hmm. I think also, too, like, you have to be able to look and say, these are my weak spots. This is where I can improve. I mean, we'll say it till we're blue in the face. The first step is always awareness. If you're not aware of where you need to improve and what needs to change within yourself, how do you expect it to change if you don't know what's wrong?
It's the two B's,
Yeah.
the being in the moment and the becoming in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, with the past is the past. It's always going to be there. You can always go back and look at it, but it's the being in the moment and
Mm-hmm.
becoming in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So spiritual bypassing, to get really nitty gritty in it, can show up in certain language of healing and moving on. We've heard terms such as toxic positivity,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I was interested where this term came from because it hasn't been around for that long. Toxic
Yeah.
positivity. It's coined by psychologist John Wellwood. Spiritual bypassing refers to the use of spiritual beliefs or practices to avoid facing painful emotions, unresolved wounds, or psychological work.
We can use a perfect example of, like, let's say you go through a loss, and instead of letting yourself be sad about it, you focus too much on, they're in a better place now. It's, they're always with me. It's okay. Like, be sad.
Oh,
Let yourself feel that grief. Same thing with like a breakup. I'm better off. It was for the best. I'm okay. I'll be fine.
I've actually worked really hard personally to not even say those terms towards other people that are dealing with grief. I have really practiced to just say things like, that's shit. It sucks. Because
Mhm.
even like saying I'm sorry, whenever I get an I'm sorry from somebody when I'm going through something bad, I'm like, what are you sorry for? I'm the
Yeah.
one sitting in this
It's
shit.
not a good phrase.
No,
I mean, like, apologizing when you do something wrong, yes, but like apologizing for somebody else's hurt, somebody else's pain that you did not inflict. Where did that start?
I don't know, but I would say it to everybody, try and pick up just, it's going to feel weird, but like I said, it's shit.
Yeah.
It's shit. I'm here to hold space for you. It's shit.
Yeah, that sucks.
That sucks.
What do you need?
Mm,
How can I support you?
yeah.
That's what I usually say
Mm-hmm.
is, how can I support you right now? What do you need for support? Do you need space? Do you need food? Do you
Right.
need comfort? Do you want company? Do you want alone time?
You'd want a hug. That was another thing too. I grew up in a very touchy-feely, loving Italian family. And turns out I don't like to be touched when I'm having really high emotions. And
Mm.
my boyfriend knows this about me. And he'll stand there and he'll be like, do you want a hug? And if I'm like really heightened, I'm like, I need just a couple minutes because
Yeah.
the physical touch makes it all bubble up a little too fast. It's like the touch is someone uncapping that soda bottle before I'm ready for it to be open. And I'm like, because when you shake it up and you can wait a couple minutes and you open it and it still spills over, but not explosively. That's what happens when I'm like at my peak.
It rarely happens to me because I feel like I'm really good at bottling things up. And it's more just for a me thing where I'm like, if I'm going to cry, I'm going to cry on my own time. I'm not crying on the clock. I'm not crying in front of people. I don't need any of that. I will cry with myself at an appropriate time where I don't need to be anywhere and I don't have anything to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm too busy to cry, we'll put it on the list for later. But I remember I feel it was like I was going through a big breakup. And it was like the morning after it had happened. And I went to work. Caps on. We're all good. I've let a little out
Oh
earlier.
God, did
I'm
something
fine.
happen?
Just somebody looked at me and was like, what's wrong? And I was like barely holding it together. And I was just like, I'm just going to teach my class. It's going to be fine. And it was just like a girl that I was friends with was just like, what happened? Are you okay? And I was like, and just sobbing, like stuck behind the desk. Everybody's like coming in and checking in for class. They're like, where's Jess? And I'm like sitting under the desk, like trying to like get the tears out. And like, sometimes you do have to just sit with it yourself or go to a therapist, someone who is trained to help you handle these emotions and shift through them, or a very close friend who is able to hold space for you, or maybe a family member who, again, is able to hold the space for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't always rely on other people to do it for you.
No.
But yeah, that again, I'm usually pretty good at like holding shit in when I need to, but
Not then.
not that day. That day I was like, I'm at max capacity. That's what I like to say when overwhelmed, highly emotional, if I'm going through a lot, I've just been dealing with a lot. I always tell people, like, if they come to me with things, I'm like, hey, I am at max capacity. Know that I can be here and I can listen to you. I probably will not be able to offer some feedback and I will not be able to take this on for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is yours. I've got my shit. And
Yeah.
that's the boundary that I'm setting.
Yeah.
But that's also part of the emotional
Intelligence.
intelligence, but also like
Processing.
processing your own emotions. And
So those that skip over and don't want to deal with this, They may use forced positivity as a defense mechanism. And some coined phrases that we probably all heard is, like you've already said, everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
high vibes only, just let it go. You're still thinking about that. It could be worse. And that toxic positivity, that pressure to stay upbeat, put on a performance no matter what happens,
Yeah.
is often at the cost of emotional truth.
Yeah.
So while it you are still need to function in society. So these toxic positivity terms are good intentioned. They can minimize real pain and make
Yeah.
people feel ashamed for grieving or struggling.
I do feel like as a society now in 2025, we are holding more space for people to grieve, which is really beautiful to see, especially like in the work environment and
Mhm.
in the day to day, like that phrase, like it's okay to not be okay.
Okay to not be
Yeah.
okay.
I remember a phrase, and I feel like it was from something from like our childhood, like high school, middle school, and it was like the two right love on our arms, and it was
I don't remember
everything's
this.
going to be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
Hmm.
And that it's like that silver lining outlook of like, and I would consider myself like an optimistic person. Like I don't look on the dark side of things. Not like an always bright side person, but I'm just like, I think there's a difference between toxic positivity and being an optimistic person. Because I think an optimistic person, I would consider myself to be an optimist
Mhm.
in this phrase that I remember from my childhood. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Everything's going to be okay in the end. I think I love that phrase actually because it does acknowledge like, hey, it's not okay right now, but that just means that you're going through it. It doesn't mean you're at the end of it.
Mhm.
This is not how it will always be. It will be okay,
But not right now.
but not right now. And I think that that's the difference between an optimist and the toxic positivity. The toxic positivity would say, you just have to be okay all the time. Toxic positivity is there's no space for grief. There's no space to be sad. There's no space for anger. Toxic positivity is toxic because it's like it's sickly sweet and
It's like fake sweetener.
fake
It's
sweetener.
that it's the sweet and low.
Yeah.
It's the sweet and low sugar packet.
But I think it's important to recognize like being optimistic doesn't mean you're being toxically positive. It just means you are looking on your outlook on life
Mhm.
is like everything's going to be okay.
Mhm.
Everything's going to work out. It is going to work out. It sucks right now. This sucks, but it's
Yeah.
going to be okay.
And it's, I think, to share a little bit personally, I am a hopeful optimist. I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in a home life that had toxic positivity. So that really warped how I responded to people. And I mean, in my early 20s and friendships, I was accused of being like overly positive because
Mm-hmm.
I had and have to continuously practice these coined terms of it sucks,
Mm-hmm.
it's shit.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't just say the toxic positivity of like everything happens for a reason. I would say that, and then I would like spiral. Well, then in the future, and now you can do this. And they were like, "Can you just like, can we just be here
Yeah.
in the shit right now?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah.
But I so you have to look at what you already innately have, and then also go back and listen to the other episodes and look at your childhood and the environment that has shaped you into who you are today.
How were you conditioned?
Yeah, because I would like to believe I don't have toxic positivity. I may be wrong, but I had to really undo my ball of yarn and be like, oh shit, that's really
Yeah.
in me.
I think toxic positivity, again, like I said, it holds no space for anything else but positive,
Mm-hmm.
good vibes.
Mm-hmm.
So, grief and a spiritual transformation, it it's often non-linear, it's often lifelong.
Spiral.
And the emotional fluctuations, grief doesn't flow in a predictable pattern. It's not a linear path, like we mentioned. Your emotions fluctuate. You might revisit those intense feelings of sadness, anger, longing, even years after the loss. And I remember when my uncle died, I was talking to, she's not my aunt, but she's my cousin's aunt from my
Mm-hmm.
uncle's
Mm-hmm.
side. And they were talking about how their father had passed, like that grandfather on that side of the family had
Okay.
passed. And she said something like, yeah, it's been years since he passed, and some days I just am in my car and I think dad, and I just start crying.
Mm.
And it's like that, like I said, you lose a part of yourself in those people because you miss them, and you should miss them. And that's okay. That's, again, part of the human experience, is to experience this loss, is to experience this grief. And we've all signed up to have a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
So embracing that anger, sadness, longing, there may be unexpected triggers. So reminders of the loss, such as anniversaries, specific places, certain sounds, this can all trigger waves of grief. I also think scent is a very powerful memory spark.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain scents, like I know my grandmother smelled like Chanel number 5.
Oh.
So anytime I smell Chanel, I'm like, oh, grandma. Like, and it's brings back happy memories, but that trigger, like, it's such a ingrained memory. Or like um even just something like, sometimes I go back east and I'm like, oh, there's a smell to the East Coast. Like the grass just is different here, and the air is fresh and clean. It's listen, East Coast smells different from LA. I'm just saying. But yeah, so it's complex. Loss is not a singular event, but a multifaceted experience that impacts various aspects of an individual's life. It contributes to the nonlinear and unpredictable pattern
Mm-hmm.
or nature of
Mm-hmm.
grief. There's continual meaning making as well. So, grief is a process of continually making sense of the loss and integrating it into one's life. Ongoing process, it involves revisiting old memories and adjusting one's worldview as new understandings emerge. There is no timeline. There's no fixed time frame for this is how long you are allowed to grieve. The duration and the intensity of grieving may vary greatly from person to person, and it's normal to experience the effects of loss throughout your life. So, personal and individual journeys, it's unique. It's influenced by personality, coping mechanisms, support system. Individual variation contributes to a nonlinear nature of grief.
Mm-hmm. Becomes a companion.
Yeah.
I'm like getting this visual of you're walking along your life, and grief is always there. Maybe they're farther away, and then it comes
Mhm.
closer, closer, closer to you. And then all of a sudden you're walking right next to grief, and you're like, you can either pretend to not look at it as it's walking
Yeah.
next to you, or you can like grab its hand and say, let's walk together.
Yeah. Join me
Yeah.
for a few blocks.
Yeah.
I think that, again, like I really resonate with grief varies person to person and situation to situation. Not
Mm-hmm.
all grief feels the same. And it's important not to judge yourself if grief feels differently situation to situation. Because again, some instances, like I've had losses, deaths where we kind of knew it was coming.
Right.
Like you get to prepare, and in that preparation, it's like you already say goodbye. And I would even argue the same for breakups. Sometimes
You know.
you see the writing on the wall. You know things are going to end. And what do they say? Uh, there's a phrase where, like, they checked out of the relationship long before it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're already in the process of grieving the relationship before it even ends.
Mm-hmm.
And I would even say same with jobs.
You
When you
know.
lose a job, you know.
It's that gut feeling.
Yeah.
It's that gut feeling. So we've talked about all this pain and all this grief. How can we honor the pain as a sacred teacher instead of something to eliminate? Um, so I'm going to try and give some of my favorite tactics that of ways that I use to alchemize grief and pain, whether you be religious or spiritual or atheist or agnostic, like whatever you want to consider yourself. We you have to acknowledge we live in a society that tries to bypass pain, and we have to learn to feel it. So how? We have to honor pain, stop treating it like a mistake. As you said, pain is part of the human condition. Um, the old ancient practice of fire. Fire is life. It's what launched human beings into the next, phase of existence. So lighting a candle,
Mhm.
just reverently creating an altar, holding ceremonies. It can kind of create like a container
Mhm.
for your grief. Light that candle and then maybe let it burn all the way down, or snuff it out when you're done giving reverence to that moment in your pain.
Yeah.
Share your story. Share it. It's so much harder to carry your pain alone. So share it. When you name it, tame it. Uh, you could probably speak more about somatic movement and what that does for the body as the dancer and fitness instructor.
So yeah, there's, and I would also say my personal favorite types of movement for grief are gentle movements.
Mm,
Walking and like a walking meditation. So like get out in nature. Don't put headphones in. Don't block out the sounds of nature. Like listen to the wind, listen to the wind in the trees, and like really connect and tune in to what you're doing and be present. You'll be surprised at how magical that can be. And I would also say another really good thing is yoga, like deep stretching yoga. I'm not talking power yoga, I'm not talking hot yoga, deep stretch yoga, because your stress will manifest in your body and create tension. And you need to be able to release those emotions, you need to stretch it out. So stretch it out. It's a big one. And movement, breath work,
mm-hmm.
moving the breath through the body. There's dancing, dance it out.
I love a dance party.
Yeah, crying. Uh, even just like shaking it off, like visibly shaking it off.
Quaking.
Yeah, I do that a lot actually. Is like if I'm like feeling like specifically like kind of when I'm taking on somebody else's energy, I'll physically like just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
shimmy a little bit, and it'll
Go,
shake that
shake
energy
it
off.
off.
And it's just again like, yeah, physical movement holds a lot of power.
Therapist, I'm going to try and pronounce their name.
Resma Menakin.
That says, I loved this quote: trauma decontextualized in a person looks like personality. In a family, it looks like family traits. In people, it looks like culture.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of these things that you can do to alchemize your grief and pain, it may not look like where you came from. Like you may come from a very conservative family, and then you find out in your mid 20s you love to go to raves.
Yeah.
And maybe nobody in your family understands why you like this. I'm speaking to myself. I love raves. I
Yeah.
think there's something so magical about that loud sound and the pulsing and the dancing.
Yeah.
And nobody in my family understands it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, have you ever been to one? And they haven't, and
Yeah.
it's kind of this uptightness of family traits, but in
Mm-hmm.
a culture that is running to raves,
Yeah.
we're seeing this movement.
I actually specifically was just thinking of like certain cultures and like their funerals, or like uh when they do like remembrance days or like certain festivals, like there's a lot of dancing
Mm-hmm.
um at these cultural events. Like dance is in dance and movement is in so, I'm thinking of like all around the globe.
They,
Dance movement
mm-hmm.
is used symbolically in celebrations. And I mean, that was one of the things I loved so much about it, is like, I mean, dance is kind of a universal language.
Mm-hmm.
Movement is a universal language.
Which leads us to our last one: creative expression. Art, music, performance always allows you to turn pain into beauty. Creation is one of the most ancient and universal ways humans have processed suffering.
Yeah.
So honoring pain doesn't mean drowning in it. It means learning to listen to it.
Hit me with some journal prompts
All
on
right.
this topic, Elise.
I wrote too many.
Uh-huh.
So, one, when you have experienced grief that didn't end, how did it evolve over time? What ancestral or generational grief might you be carrying? How do you know it's not yours? Kind of going back and looking at your traits. Are you an optimist, but did you grow up in an environment that had toxic positivity? Figure out what's yours, get rid of what's not. What triggers your grief unexpectedly? What might these moments be asking you to witness? So we love some journal prompts. Leave it for a nice, beautiful morning with your cup of coffee. And we'll catch you the next one.
Thanks for joining us today. We're so glad you were here.
For more information on our episodes and to connect with us on social media,
follow us at Spiritual Alchemy Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Stay golden!